You booked it, episode 122. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me today on You Booked It, the #1 podcast where you learn how to create a successful entertainment career. Every episode is a masterclass on how to move your career forward. And if you want even more, head over to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the email community where we dig deep into what you can be doing right now to help book that next gig. And now, let's do this. Alrighty, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Jennifer Apple. Are you ready for this, Jennifer?
Yes.
All right. Jennifer is a multi-hyphenated artist who hails from New York City. She currently plays the role of Anna in the Tony Award-winning The Band's Visit First National Tour and has performed at regional theaters like Chautauqua Theater Company, ACT, Goodspeed Musicals, and Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. She has developed and workshopped a ton of new plays and musicals and lent her voice to multiple cast recordings. Jennifer has appeared on TV in New Amsterdam and holds an MFA in acting from the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. As a teaching artist, she specializes in finding new material specifically for you. Acting the song/monologue, audition coaching, BFA/MFA prep, and breaking down the text. She recently founded the Empowered Artist Collective, which is a community for women seeking an artistically sustainable career in the performing arts. She believes in honest and truthful storytelling, the power of simply being, and bringing out what makes you, you. Jennifer, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, fill in the gaps, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry?
Yeah. Oh boy. I feel like this question that you can take it on the personal side or you can take it on the artistic side.
Yeah.
So as a human being, I love hiking, I love dogs, I love travel, and I love seltzer. But in terms of my own story, I guess, in the arts, I am an actor/coach or acting coach or teaching artist, what have you. And how I got here, born and raised New York. I'm a true New Yorker at heart. I started singing when I was really young. My parents eventually gave me voice lessons. Then I was in community theater. Then I went to theater camp. Then I was the kid in high school who was doing theater. It had a natural progression. When I went to undergrad, I went for a liberal arts degree and I really leaned in. So I had a major in theater with an acting and directing double concentration and a double
Wow.
minor in creative writing and philosophy. I know it was as though I did nothing with my time. I moved back to New York and then I was mostly doing musical theater regionally around the country, but I really wanted to do more TV and film and Shakespeare. And so a mentor was like, why don't you apply to grad school? So I applied to grad school. It worked out. I headed out to San Francisco to the American Conservatory Theater where I got my master's in acting. And while there, and then post being there, I really started teaching and coaching monologues, songs, text breakdown, Shakespeare, all of that. And then I booked the Band's Visit tour pretty much soon after and was traveling around the country with that as well as teaching. And then COVID hit. And now I've really been teaching and coaching a lot. So that's my artistic journey in a very quick little nutshell.
Brilliant. I love the nutshell. I also love seltzer.
Oh my God. Listen. It's people can argue with me as much as they want oh, it's not really water. And in my mind, I'm like, what is the base of it if it's not water? It's water, but just happens to be fun water. It's the best water. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know what I found with seltzer is I realized I used to drink too much soda, right? And
Right.
what I realized is I never really wanted the sugar. All I wanted was bubbles. That's all I wanted.
Correct. And you can make the bubbles fun. Like you could throw a lime in there, you can throw a lemon in there, you can throw some juice in there. It doesn't have to be bland if you don't just want the the carbonation of it. You can
Yeah.
make it a joy.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. No, it's the best. It is the
Seltzer
best.
for the win. Absolutely.
So true. So true.
All right, let's move on to this next section here. And Jennifer, look, I'm a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel like I'm actually the worst at memorizing any sort of anything, despite the fact that I'm an actor. So people ask this all the time, what's your favorite quote? And I don't know if anybody's ever said this. I know I say it all the time. So maybe it's like my own personal quote, but you are enough. I think maybe that's a mantra more than it is a quote. But I feel like for me, that's one that I consistently come back to. It's one that I use while I'm teaching. But I think so often, especially as artists, we find ourselves in comparison or not trusting that what we bring into a room is beautiful, and or we apologize for who we are. And you are enough, for me, really is a true reminder of every single person's brilliance and uniqueness and how special we all are.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. And let's move on to this section. And Jennifer, of course, you are an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I
Mhm.
think that you'd agree that this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know
Yes.
as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry like you're having now takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, there's an outrageous amount of fun and excitement being an entertainer, doing what we do, there are also our fair share of challenges, obstacles, and failures
Mhm.
we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, so many. I'm like flashing through all these different challenges that I've had in my life as an artist. And boy, oh boy, if you've asked this to anybody, they're like, oh, which one do you want me to pick?
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I keep coming back to is I've had very like versions of the same thing happen over and over again. And it's not a specific instance, but this idea of needing to apologize for being me, I feel like so often, especially as a woman in the industry, and as somebody who is perhaps maybe more outspoken or transparent or communicative or honest, which is just the way in which I communicate, sometimes it's viewed as, in large quotes, like too much. And I feel like I had been trained or told so many times to diminish parts of myself, which I guess doubles back to the quote of you are enough. But this, I feel like I've had to apologize so many times for who I am and what makes me special or what makes me unique. And walking into a room belittling my light to not shine as bright as it could
Hmm.
because of what others have tried to make me. And I feel like if anyone is listening, like truly that is what makes you special. Like who you are, what makes you different, the way in which you communicate, all these things, even the strength that one walks into a room with, that is your power as an artist. And if somebody asks you to diminish it, that's just because they are not secure enough in themselves to handle what you are bringing. And I feel like that's a huge challenge that I've had to and still have to override a bit. But I really try very hard now to think of it as an opportunity for me to really just show up fully.
Yeah, that is such good advice. That's so well said. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that because I think that is so valuable for everyone listening out there, but especially those coming into this industry. Please rewind
Hmm.
and listen to that again.
Yes.
Beautiful. And let's move to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing as an entertainer. Tell us about that.
I feel like it was actually probably before I even remember doing it. It was probably when I was a kid, making my parents and my younger siblings sit and force them to watch me do little shows that I made up in our living room. They had to have a little ticket for admission that I created, and I had a little like microphone that I'd dance around and sing around with. And like thinking back on that, the joy and just inhibition of being able to just you just get to run around and be totally free. I feel like that was probably it. Obviously the connective, oh, you could be this forever, was not there. But the bug started when I was really young, and the oldest child, forcing everybody to, or bullying, I don't know, everybody to watch me. I don't know if there was an exact, oh, you could do this for a living moment, because so much of my journey was really quite linear. It just took a long time, or it still, listen, it's still taking time. It's not like I've reached, the pinnacle of where I ever want to be. But I didn't have a specific moment necessarily, though. Oh, now maybe I went to theater camp, and there were kids at my theater camp who were doing it. They were like doing the thing on a professional level, movies, TV, theater. And I was like, oh, wait, these kids do this? The thing that I've been doing for a hobby is a thing. And I think that was a switch of, oh, this is it's a possible career, not necessarily you must pursue this career.
That's so funny that you brought that up, doing your own shows, keep creating your tickets and things. My wife tells a very similar story. She's the oldest as well. She's got two younger siblings, and I think her brother, the youngest of them, ended up wearing tights a lot.
Oh, yeah.
To play whatever role that she envisioned for everybody.
I mean,
so
truly, this isn't like that necessarily, but I would make, my brother who's below me, I'd be the teacher and he'd be the student. I'd be the, like, we'd do we'd play house and he'd be like, I don't know what he would be, but I was always the one making him be and do what I wanted for my vision. So I relate to your wife completely. I think that's an older kid thing, but I don't, yes, I get it.
Beautiful. And let's piggyback on that real quick and talk about your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day, the auditions and callbacks, if they happen to be a part of it. What was going on in your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
This one would have to be for my spot on New Amsterdam. I went into, it was this open call, and it was whatever room they placed you in. It was a panel of 3 casting directors, but it was totally arbitrary what room you were going to be put into. And they were asking for scenes, and I didn't want to do a scene. I wanted to do a monologue, and everybody was pretty much doing dramatic stuff. And I was like, not feeling it. I want to do a comedic monologue. So I totally broke all the rules that were asked of me. However, I think I operate under that with a lot of the material that I do, or like what people are asking. I truly believe if you're not doing what you want to be doing in that moment, you're not going to show up fully. So you're wasting everyone's time. And if they want to see you do something more, they will ask you. Anyway, I did this monologue, this comedic monologue. It's about IKEA. And I still used a reader. I had the reader sit in the chair with me, even though we obviously didn't say a word. And the casting directors were laughing through it all. And the casting director for New Amsterdam was in the room, and he was asking me about my SAG eligibility and all of that. And the next thing I know, that following week, I have an audition for New Amsterdam. And then that following week, I went and filmed it. So It was fast. It was furious. It had nothing to do with what I auditioned for at all, like at all. And I'm endlessly grateful to David Caporelli-Otis, because he's, first of all, brilliant, but also he thinks outside the box, but also he really admires artists and actors and the craft, and he can see things beyond what you're bringing into a room. He took a risk on me. This is my first network television show, and he brought me in, and then I did it. And I'm endlessly grateful to him for that, and for that opportunity. And for that whole experience. It was wonderful. And that set in general, every single actor on that set, just like besides just being gorgeous actors, as human beings, every single person on that set was incredible. Everyone was incredibly humble and giving and kind and professional. It was really just an awesome experience.
Oh, what a great story. Love that.
Yeah.
And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And it's a weird time, right? We are amidst this global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Okay. Breaking this one down. Projects I'm working on right now. Obviously, it's a little bit hard to be performing in the realms in which we would normally be used to them. So I think
Right.
for me, I've been doing and being drawn more to coaching. As a coach, in order for me to be successful in teaching an individual, I have to be incredibly clear and precise about what I am asking of them to do. And by doing that, I am strengthening my own skill set as an actor. I have found that even though I haven't been performing in what I would deem to be a performance space, I believe in my acting capabilities infinitely more than I ever have, because I think I've given myself some time, but also through teaching and coaching so much, I've really had to get really specific and sharp with the way in which I bring out other people's intentions and really their vulnerability and their bravery in the work that they're doing. So that's been on the coaching front. And I do that one-on-one with individuals. So whether if they have a monologue or they have a song that they want to work on, or whether it's just breaking down text, or I do BFA and MFA coaching. So that's like, that runs the gamut of finding your material, getting your auditions slated, getting your materials and your essays and all of that all organized. So just an all encompassing Shakespeare as well. And then there's the other side of it, which is master classes. So I work with a few different organizations and I teach weekly with them, but I also go, and I guess now it's all virtual, but into various universities and schools and do master classes and workshops in those spaces too. But the thing I'm most excited about, I guess that's a new thing, is while coaching, I had this light bulb moment of every single artist that I was working with, their craft was really wonderful, but they had zero life and business skills. And I thought about myself, and it's taken me, and I'm still learning, but it's taken me years of time, energy, resources for me to cultivate that for myself. And I never learned it in school. It was something I was never taught. And it was just this expectation that you're unleashed into the wild as an artist and you should just know all these things about how do you deal with your finances and how do you stay active in terms of challenging the industry, or in terms of my multi-hyphenate aspect of myself. How is that actually going to benefit me? All these things no one ever taught me. So at this moment, I contacted a good friend of mine and we created this program called the Empowered Artist Collective, which is a community for women who are hoping to sustain their career in the performing arts. And we give them life skills and business skills. There's panels in which we bring experts to chat about all these topics, from empathy building to financial wellness to mental, physical, vocal health and wellness, to challenging the system, to being a multi-hyphenate. We are also giving them one-on-one coachings in that time. And the cohort that we are shaping is also a support system for them for the rest of time, ideally. But it's a 3-month experience. So it's not just that you come in and then you're out. It's really about fostering this community, a mentor-mentee type of experience. And I'm incredibly pumped about that. So that's my big change project. And then the industry moving forward, I think the biggest thing right now, and we're seeing that on a global scale on the countryside, not land countryside, but like on our country.
Yeah.
And you're like, you get it. And especially in the industry, the need for inclusion, the need for recognizing that humans are equal and need to be treated as such, and how equity, diversity, inclusion needs to be ingrained into the system that currently does not hold those spaces. For me, that is what I want and need, frankly, to see in the industry in these next couple of years. And perhaps and hopefully this pause that we are in, this intermission, so to speak, that we're in right now, is really forcing people to get clear on these aspects and how they can integrate that into their systems that definitely need a overhaul.
Yes. I agree so much with what you just said, but also really excited about what is the name of it you called, the program that you just created?
Oh,
The
Empowered Artist
Yes.
Collective.
So grateful that you created something like this, because you're right. The life side of this industry, the business side, the finances side of this industry is crazy that
Right.
no one really gets taught this. And it's so important. It's one thing to go through high school, for instance, and be unleashed into the world where you're going to go be a W-2 employee and work there for 40 years or a couple places.
Right.
It's a completely different thing to be an artist where you're going to go have a combination of W-2 and 1099 work
It's a nightmare.
with hundreds and hundreds of different companies or people throughout your entire career. So you have to think of yourself as a business and structure everything as a business and understand finances and taxes and incorporating if that becomes applicable for yourself. But you're right. All these things are so important. And the great part is, it's really not that difficult to figure it all out. You just have to have the right resources like yours to
Correct.
go down that rabbit hole and figure it out so you have that skill set, because that's how you create longevity in a career in the arts.
Correct. And that's the thing that we're trying to do, which is have these conversations earlier for these emerging artists or pre-professional artists, that it doesn't take them X amount of years to try to like gain those skill sets as they go, which look, they will. Everybody could, we all have. But it's like, why do that if you can get that early on and then set yourself up for success much earlier? I think so much of this career is, oddly, even though it's a community, it really is about, I want to get this faster than you, or people believe that. I don't believe that. If you get this, then I don't have it, as opposed to your success is my success. And I think my co-founder and I, we really want to cultivate this idea that your success actually is my success. And if I am helping you learn these skill sets, when you succeed in X, Y, and Z, then you get to help the next person with that. And it just really becomes this cyclical giving space versus this taking and scarcity space, which is not serving anybody in the long run.
Wonderful. Love your insight on that. And it is time to move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
Oh boy, I am ready.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
Instability.
Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Do your work and throw it out the window, and then just show up and do the thing.
Third question. What is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
Oddly, the gift of time to really focus on what I deem to be important in this industry as an artist, as a human, and self-care.
The gift of time. That's such a great way to put it. Because it's a weird time, right? And it can be very negative, or we can turn it around and make something of this time. And whether that means you're doing a project or creating something like you've created, or that means just being introspective and taking the time for you and pushing the reset button. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you need for you.
Oh, yeah. It took me until we created this program in a month. It took those first 5 months, like, you better believe I was on that couch being introspective and watching Netflix. I was watching people put self-tapes up and like creating all, like, the creativity that was coming out was overwhelming. And compare leads to despair. And I was sitting there being like, am I missing out on something? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And no, it is a gift if we choose to make it a gift. And it's hard. Some days are hard, but the flip side is it really could be wonderful.
Yeah, I also really like that little quote that you just threw out. The compare leads to despair. Beautiful. And the fourth question, what is your best resource? Whether that is a book, a movie, a YouTube video, maybe a podcast, or a piece of technology that you found is helping your career right now.
The first thing that pops into mind is Untamed, Glennon Doyle's book. As a woman, I think it is like necessary reading right now for artistry, but also for your human self to just get introspective. But also just Netflix, lots and lots of Netflix.
Beautiful. And the fifth question, if you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently, or would you keep it the same?
I feel like I see both sides to this. Part of me wants to say I wouldn't be where I am today without everything I've gone through, so I wouldn't want to change a thing.
Totally.
I think the flip side of that is I wish that I trusted myself earlier, or didn't listen to the noise of others earlier, so that I then just truly stayed on my path and trusted my path more, and really became a sponge for what my path was, and focused and trusted that was going to work out the way it was supposed to work out. But I think I fluctuate between both of those.
Yeah, totally. And the last question, what is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I feel like we've had a few of them. Definitely compare leads to despair. Trust in the process. You are enough. Really, there is no one in the world like you. I think we forget so often as artists that we are the missing puzzle piece for people's projects. They need you, specifically you, to show up in the room to prove to them that you are the missing link and the missing puzzle piece for whatever they are needing. And you coming in and trying to give them something that you think they want, or trying to be something that you saw is the thing, like none of that is A, going to serve you, but B, show them who you are, and then they won't know what to do with you. You're doing yourself a disservice by not really just being yourself. So really own who you are and trust that is enough, and that your process will happen the way it is supposed to happen.
Yes. And to wrap up this interview, Jennifer, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
Yeah, my Instagram, which is at @JenniferApple_. It's very difficult being an Apple in the world run by an Apple corporation. So that was the closest I could get to just my name, at @JenniferApple_ on Instagram. I'm actually pretty communicative on there. Slide into my DMs kindly, obviously. And then also my website, jenniferapple.net. That's where you can find me both as an actor as well as a coach, and what I offer specifically for one-on-ones, for masterclasses, where I've taught, testimonials, all that good stuff. If the Empowered Artist Collective is something enticing to you, I'd love a follow on there, which is at Empowered Artist Collective on Instagram, or easy enough, empoweredartistcollective.com, where you can check out the whole program, see if it's a right fit for you, maybe pop into some of the panels down the line, or maybe the next cohort as it gets released. And for anybody who is listening to this podcast, if you would like $10 off a one-on-one coaching with me as part of your listenership, go to YouBookedItPodcast.com/Apple, and that will lead you to me with a $10 discount.
Beautiful. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Jennifer has just said into the description of this episode. And be sure to head over to youbookeditpodcast.com/Apple to get your $10 off any one-on-one coaching with Jennifer. Just be sure to mention the code BOOKEDIT when you talk to her. Jennifer, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Thank you so much for reaching out and connecting. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we got to connect, and this has been a blast.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't miss an episode. I have a new guest 7 days a week. Every guest drops more value and insight than any other resource out there, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a rating and review. Also, be sure to head over to YouBookedItPodcast.com and join our free email community, where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help you advance your entertainment career. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.